Matty, how are you?
Is this Bobby Bones?
It is. It's great to talk to you, man.
How are you, Bobby? Long time no see.
I know. I haven't seen you since I was up in your building and just trying to get a look-see in your studio to see the legend. I remember peeking in there, and I was like, I don't want to bother him. And there he was with all my eyes.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Well,
You're the king.
nah, that's not true.
You're dancing. What's that show? Dancing with the Stars? Is that you?
If you have to ask what's that show, you know I ain't the king.
Yeah, I heard. I heard about it.
Okay.
I'm more like you ever play Lee Bryce records on your show?
I have before, yes.
I don't dance. That's mine.
Okay. Well, let's celebrate you. I'm not here to talk about me. Listen, I'm so over me. I talk about me all the time. But, you know, when I was reading about how you had just celebrate your 40-year anniversary doing mornings there, working in radio, I was like, holy crap. Like, I can only dream of having a career that's 2/3 of that, honestly. Like, you've just been at such a high level for so long. And I hit up Mike and I said, hey, see if Matty, because I don't want to reach out, because if you say no to me, my feeling's going to be hurt. But if you say no to Mike, I'm like, he just didn't want to do it. So I said, reach out to Matty and see if he wants to talk, and because I have a bunch of questions about his radio career. So I appreciate you humoring me here.
Oh, Bobby, are you kidding me? You really want to put me on your radio show all over the country?
Of course. You're the man.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Well, let me start with, because you started in 1981 as far as Kiss 108, where you still are. And so I'm just curious about the 80s in general and how in radio, like, I assume there were a lot of big stars that would come through and pop in on your show in the 80s. When you think about that and people you actually met in the 80s, who was it that you still look back and go, man, that was really freaking cool that I met them?
Well, Oprah was cool. But Oprah back then?
Yeah,
the early days?
Back then, the early days. Not even the biggest of your life, but because for me in the 80s, I was like 1 year old. So like I look back and I'm like, man, what was it like to have someone come in the radio station in the 80s? You're on in Boston, you're rocking the whole place. Like who comes, but does Madonna come by in the 80s? Did you ever meet the Beastie Boys?
Yeah, all those people. You know, all the Toms, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who else came by? I mean, everybody. You know, back in those days, before the internet and everything, celebrities went to radio stations. You don't really see that anymore. They come to see you because you got a national show. But, you know, for just a one-market guy like me, nowadays, you know, they don't travel like they used to. But back then, anybody who had a movie or anything would tour the country. So, yeah, we had everybody.
So, did you ever see someone back in, like, the 80s, late 80s, and then you ran into them, like, 20 years later, and they just kind of, they weren't what they used to be, and maybe back then they were kind of a jerk to you, and you're like, see what happens?
You want to ask me about people I know that crashed and burned?
I was asking that in a nicer way. I was trying to go around that in a nicer way.
You want people that I met that now are nobody?
Again, I'm not saying nobody. From my experience, there have been people that have come in my studio and really treated me like crap at one point. And then all of a sudden, they hit a down spurt, and now all of a sudden they're trying to be your best friend again. And I'm like, well, you treated me like crap the last time I saw you.
Well, you're awfully dark, Bobby. Did something bad happen?
All my whole life.
I have dead people.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry King just died. I met him, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have a list of people who, well, some of them. I mean, I had, what was his name? Michael Douglas's brother. You know, he came in and he was doing cocaine on the show, and then he OD'd a little while later. Does that count?
Yeah, that's a great story. He was doing coke.
Oh, God, he was so mad at me. Oh, my God. He was sniffling. And I said, you know, can I give you a tissue? Would you like a tissue? And he got all mad because he equated that with the fact that he was doing blow right there in the studio. I didn't mean anything by it, you know.
Do you remember back your very first break doing the mornings and, you know, when the show launched in 81?
Well, I was a rocker, you know, and I got this job at KISS, and back then they were changing from disco, but they were still kind of a disco station, really, when I started, and I was a rocker, so it was humiliating to all my friends that I worked at KISS, you know, disco socks and all that. Yeah, so it really wasn't I couldn't really tell anybody that I went to KISS. It was embarrassing.
I watched
honest to God,
the
honest to God, honest to God, I had a girlfriend at the time. I wonder whatever happened to her. But I said, look, I had a TV show, a late night TV talk show, and they hired me at KISS. And I said, I'll see. So, I went to the boss of the TV station and I said, I got this offer for, a radio thing, but I don't know I'd rather stay on TV. And the guy looked at me and smiled and said, take the radio gig. So, I appreciated his honesty that my TV career was coming to an end, and I went to KISS and I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, I'll do it for a couple months and then I'll go back on TV. So that was literally almost to the day 40 years ago. And here I am, still here.
Yeah, still here. I was watching the Bee Gees documentary on HBO Max where they talk about, they had many sounds, but their biggest was Saturday Night Fever, that soundtrack. And then once disco died, they went from being cool to being basically, a pariah where nobody wanted to deal with them at all because everybody was embarrassed by disco. Do you remember that at all?
Sure. Well, that's what I was saying. How could you, my friends, my stoner rocker friends, you're going to work for KISS 108, the disco station? I said, well, I lost my TV gig, and they're the only ones that called me, so yeah. But again, I was only going to do it for a couple of months, and I don't know, something happened. And I'm still here.
You ever have celebrities over to your house?
I had a studio in my house at one point, and I was talking to Al Gore, and he was running for president, and he was, at the time, the vice president of the United States. And my twin girls, who were 5 years old at the time or something, came blasting into the studio, killing each other, pulling hair and yelling and screaming. And I said, I'm on the air right now, girls, with the vice president of the United States, but they didn't seem to care at all. They didn't care at all. Yeah.
Do you know if Tom Brady listened to your show?
I hope he doesn't listen to the show this year.
Yeah, get
we
that.
were kind of down on him. Well, he left us, Bob. You can't do that. We're all rooting for him now, going to the Super Bowl. But God, earlier this year, the way he left, and those commercials, I'm not going anywhere, I'm still here. He was lying.
You took that pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, I interviewed Tom one time, and he was at a studio. Tom Brady you go to him, he didn't come to us. And he was getting blonde tips of his hair. It was kind of, for a regular old rocker guy, that was sort of embarrassing,
Did you like Tom?
Beauty parlor.
Like as a guy, was he a cool guy?
Well, like I said, he was getting blonde tips in his hair. I'm going, what's up with this? That's not how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was okay. He was a pro. He was good. Most of the people, I'm sure you found the same thing, Bobby, that most of the people you meet are fine, are nice. We only had a couple bad ones, Marissa Tomei, we'll never have her on again.
Okay, nice. Now we're getting somewhere. Marissa Tomei, what happened? Because I can give you Wendy Williams is the worst I've ever interviewed. We'll never have her on again. She's awful. Her husband tried to beat her husband tried to beat me up after I interviewed Wendy Williams, the talk show host.
Oh.
Awful.
Yeah, and you know who else was bad? Drew Barrymore. Yeah,
what happened there?
Weird attitude. Well, usually the ones that are bad are they make a movie and you're supposed to go see the movie before they come on. And so when she realized I didn't see her movie, she had attitude. She goes, well, what do you mean you didn't see my movie? And I go, well, you ever heard my radio show? No. So, hey, that's not right. But, and then there was the guy doing blow in the studio. I told you about him.
Yeah, you ever think about writing a book?
For the most part, guys, everybody was, it's been a great run,
Let me ask about radio specifically for a minute. How many phone calls back in the 90s and early 2000s would you get for song requests versus now? Because it's just not the same animal as far as getting in touch with us.
Boy, that's so weird you should say that because we were just talking about that today. Yeah, people are different. They don't, people listen to the radio in the car, but, their favorite songs, they've already, heard them. whether it be our app, the iHeart app, or Pandora, or Spotify, or you know what I mean? Like, you're right. That people in modern times have so many ways to get the music. The funny thing is, it's good for business because, they're not coming for the music; they're coming for us. Mostly you, but a little bit of me. You know what I mean?
A lot of you. If you had to pick this is a tough one, the number one most requested song of your career, where you're like, this song was so freaking big, you couldn't turn a corner, and it would not be splashing right in front of your face. What's the number one most requested song of your career?
Well, Bob, I don't really listen to the music,
But that doesn't mean you're not in the room or you're not with a program director saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, even nowadays, like,
Just
awful.
Like for me.
I hate the music. I listen to country music. I would listen to you way longer than I would listen to me. I swear to God.
In my
Justin Bieber? Oh, my God. I like it. Ever heard the Justin Bieber song we play every 5 minutes? Oh, it's awful.
Which one are you playing? I'm fond of Justin Bieber. Which song do you hate the most?
That I hate the most?
Yeah.
That Lonely.
Oh, that's a jam.
Lonely.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even good yodeling. It's like, if it was a good yodeler, I would like it. It's bad yodeling, Lonely. Oh, man. Are you kidding?
I like it. I think that's a pretty good song, but we have different tastes, obviously.
Well, you know what's weird? I mean, you do a country show. That's what I like. On my 40th anniversary, Lee Brice calls me, right? And I love Lee Brice, because it's our song. My wife and I, it's our song, Hard to Love.
You and your wife have been together for how long?
A little over 20 years.
What's the key to that successful marriage?
We acknowledge it, that having a really good marriage is rare at times, and we're really good at that. We're really good at. It's another Lee Brice song. The song was it "Love Like Crazy" or whatever, and he said, "Never get too old to call her baby," and overused "I Love You." I'm telling you, Lee Brice is my guy.
You are literally you're a real life Lee Brice fan. You've now quoted 2 songs.
Yeah. So, not legit. I mean, but I'm glad you asked, because that's of my life. I've been married before, so I know what a bad marriage feels like. And so we're very lucky, and I'm lucky. I don't know if she's lucky, but I'm lucky. We have a great marriage.
What time do you wake up in the morning these days?
A couple minutes before the show starts.
Do you have a fancy driver? Does someone drive you to work?
No, I'm out of my house now.
Oh, okay.
With the pandemic. Yeah, I moved. I don't even live in Boston anymore.
Wait, that's not true. Are you? I don't know if you're messing with me or not.
No, I'm not messing with you. I live in Florida. I live in Palm Beach. Yep.
Did the listeners know that?
Well, they didn't know at the first year. Well, it was the pandemic thing. Like, I had a place in Florida, and we were down here a couple winters ago, and I was broadcasting from a studio down there in West Palm, and so with the pandemic and the craziness, and we were number 1 in the ratings, so I could kind of do what I want, and I asked if I could build a studio in my house and broadcast from my house, and they said sure, and like I see my whole team on screens and everything.
Do you think will you do that for the rest of your career?
Oh, God, you think I'm going back to Boston? It's 5 degrees there. I just got off the golf course. Are you kidding? Yeah, no, I ain't going back. I mean, I miss it. I mean, I love that town, and they were great to me, and still are. But, I mean, I'm on the back 9. Actually, I'm walking up the 18th fairway right now. And how much longer can I do this?
That's the question. How much longer do you plan to do that?
I mean, I got a couple more years of my contract. I'd like to have the Howard Stern deal where you work like 3 days a week. That'd be good. But yeah, I like the money. I mean, So to answer your question, a couple of years probably.
At what
Couple
point
years.
in your radio career did you feel like, man, financially, like I'm doing pretty freaking good? Didn't quite expect it like this.
Well, I don't know how much you make.
More than I should, Matty.
Yeah, I don't make Bobby Bones money, but well into the seven figures, obviously. I've been making, like, I can't believe they're paying me this money probably 10 years, and they've been great. I mean, you're an iHeart guy, it's a good little company. They take care of us, I think.
That they do. Yeah. Okay, well, do you still enjoy it? I'm going to ask you that. Here you are, 40 years in. You wake up in the morning. It takes me about an hour to get into the show before I start to feel loose. But do you still enjoy it?
I do. Well, first of all, they're like my best friends. I mean, Billy Costa, who was my, wingman on the show, we're best friends in real life. I mean, he's my best friend. So I do the show with my best friend. So that's, like, really great. The downside is, a lot of the stuff we talk about is Top 40 station, like, do I care that Halsey is having a baby? I mean, no offense, but it's not my thing. That's the downside, But other than that, pretty good.
Why not flip over and go do talk or go do, a format where the audience is a bit older?
Well, they pay me millions of dollars to talk about Halsey's pregnancy, so why would I leave? It's kind of like, the thing about it that's so unbelievable, and I know you can relate to this, so unbelievable, that there are all these people out there who, have, how do I put this, have a fondness for me. I can't believe it. Like, you say I'm humble. It's more than humble. It's shocking. It's just shocking that I go to a restaurant in Boston and everybody comes over and says hi, and that's like, whoever would have dreamed that? That's crazy.
Did you ever have an issue with crazies coming to your house or physically threatening you?
Amazingly, no. I mean, sort of, kind of once, back when I was single, and, maybe, I think one time I, flirted. Those were in the days where you'd do gigs at clubs, So you'd be out and you'd be buzzed and maybe occasionally say the wrong thing to a girl that was attached to someone much bigger than me, stuff like that a couple times, but nothing politically, I'm not a Trump fan, so if I say stuff about Trump that's negative, I've gotten a few emails, shut up and play a record or whatever they say, but never anything. I've never felt in danger, no. I knew a guy in Tucson, Arizona got killed. Remember that story? This is a long time ago.
No, tell me about it.
He got shot. The guy got shot. He said something, somebody pulled up to him in the car and shot him. Imagine that. But no, I have been very lucky in that regard.
Did they shoot him because of something he said on the air?
The guy got shot?
Yeah. Was it because he said something on a show that irritated someone?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was the guess. I mean, it could have been a loved one. It could have been a jealous guy or something. But, he was literally leaving the radio station in his car.
When you were a morning guy at Kiss 108 when it first started, or even the 90s, did you ever have any other radio guys you looked at and said, dang, I admire what they're doing. I'd like to do something, not the same, but I'd like to kind of have that same path?
Well, when I was coming up, I grew up in New York. And, there are a lot of New York guys and the rock stations that I liked. They're all long gone now. I mean, geez. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Jimmy Rabbit. These guys go way back. Jonathan Schwartz out of New York. I was a fan of his. But you're talking 1,000 years ago, When I first started, and I didn't know how to do Top 40. I was a rocker, I was saying. And so they sent me to L.A. and sit in with Rick Dees. Remember Rick Dees?
I do it. Well, yeah.
So the company sent me to sit in with Rick and, watch what he does. But we have a very different kind of show. I don't do it, though.
How was Rick Dees to you when you met him?
No, polite. We're from, he's very different. He's a Southerner, and, he said to me, "So you're of the Jewish faith?" And I went, "Oh boy, where's this going?" You know, that's my memory of Rick Dees, but it was fine. I played golf with him. He was much better than me.
How good are you at
Yeah,
golf
I
now?
golf.
Yeah, I would always hear that you would leave the show, finish your meetings, and you have a tee time basically every day.
Yeah, but there's no reflection on my love of the game and my ability to play the game. They don't dovetail at all. You would think that at the amount of golf I play that I would somehow have gotten the hang of it. But, you know, I haven't. Yeah, I spend more money on golf balls than anything.
What's your handicap though? Let's be for real.
I'm horrible. I'm like a 70, you know. Like, yeah. I mean, I should be better than that. But, were you a golfer?
Yeah.
Well, see, I look at you and Dancing with the Stars, you're probably like a 9.
I mean, if I'm really playing a lot, I just travel so much. I'm probably about an 11 right now.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, well, you're that guy. Hey, you know in those black glasses you wear, is there a prescription in there?
Absolutely.
Or is that clear glass?
No, my right eye doesn't work at all, and that's part of the issue. And then my left eye is fading as well, so I'm kind of dealing with two different issues. One, to protect my eye that's the only good eye, and the other one is actually a working lens. So yeah, I'm definitely vision impaired.
But do you ever talk to anybody, an agent or anything, about doing contacts or something? Because that's sort of like your thing, the glasses, you know?
Well, I'm such a generic white guy. Like I'm not that good looking, but I'm okay. I'm not extremely tall, but I'm tall enough. Like everything about me is just average. So yeah, through default, the glasses just kind of became my thing because I had nothing else about me. So I got a contact about 3 months ago for the first time ever because I have a new show that's coming out on Nat Geo and Disney Plus, a TV show, and I have to do some really crazy like active stuff, and so I got it just in case I lost my glasses. But otherwise, I wear my glasses.
Okay.
But hey, listen. Let me say this. I know that you've been, a little funny with me. You kind of put down, you acting like it's not a big deal. But let me tell you, I admire you as a talent. I admire your longevity. I admire all the rules that you broke that allowed me to come along and kind of re-break those rules and not get in as much trouble for it. And so you are massive to our industry. You are massive to Boston, obviously a town that I love so much. And, obviously I don't live there, but we're up there enough that I really feel like I love the people. And I just wanted to say thanks for what you do. You really set a great example for someone like me.
Well, I don't know what to say, man. I'm so flattered. I can't, I don't, yeah. I mean, like to me, it was like, just kept going to work and they pay me and so I go to work. But the fact that you feel that way, and I mean, my career means something to your career is wonderful. And I'm honored that you feel that way.
Well, congratulations. I aspire to have the longevity that you have, and thank you for spending a few minutes with me, Matty. I appreciate that.
Bobby, I can't say this enough. I'm just so flattered that you feel this way. I got the call to talk to you, and I go, Bobby Bones? He's like on 100 radio stations and TV and all that stuff. I'm just like a little DJ in Boston. So the fact that you feel that way is, it's great. I really am flattered.
I'll let you get back to your warm lifestyle. It is 23 degrees here right now. And hopefully, one day, I'll see you again.
Let me ask you before you go.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to hit a draw off the tee, and I can't do it. It keeps losing it to the right.
You're right-handed, I'm assuming?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not finishing. Is that what I'm doing?
So I'm left-handed, and I have to finish extra hard to get that draw because I have a lot of trouble closing my hands just as instinctually, I don't close my hands as much as I should. And so I really have to get my elbow in. I'm not telling you how to swing your club, but for me, I have to make sure my elbow is in and that I'm already turning my hands earlier than I think I should. Don't listen to my tip, but that's what I have to do.
That's a fantastic tip. And someday we'll meet in person and we'll have a couple of beers.
All right, Matty. See you later. Hey, guys. It's Bobby Bones. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and then go check it out. A lot of artists, a lot of songwriters, a lot of music. Welcome to the Bobby Cash channel.